will be joining us. And
They're on. They're on. You just don't see them, David.
oh, okay. Well, good evening, everybody. We will start with number one on the agenda. Just to say, we're approving the minutes from the September 23rd board meeting. Hi, Nikki. We have one piece of business first. We're approving the meeting, the minutes from the last meeting. The board has all gotten copies of that. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, what have you? I did notice there is a spelling error on there. We're correcting it. Your copy might not have a correction on Aquifer, but anybody have any comments on the minutes from last meeting? If not, let the minutes stand as they are and become a matter of the public record. Okay, now we're going to jump ahead to number 12. Nikki, you and Mike have sent your request to the village to use the hall, use the upstairs of the fire hall for your Christmas drive. So I'm going to give you the floor. You can explain what that's all about, and we'll go from there.
You're not muted. You're muted, Nikki. You're still muted. Sorry. Can see lips, but no sound. Sorry.
Yes, you need to flip the switch.
Jason, you're muted.
When she muted, there was a phone icon, not a microphone icon.
Right.
So I wonder if she chose the dial-in option instead of the computer audio option.
Yeah, now it's cut off your phone.
Her computer audio probably isn't.
Are you on computer or on your phone, Nikki?
Well, you can't hear her.
She's on phone. She can hear us. We can't hear her.
Okay. Well, let's see what we can do.
How about that?
There we go.
Okay.
I heard you.
Okay, that's
All right.
better, Nikki. Okay, you have the floor now.
Three mute buttons later. Mr. Mike Reynolds is behind me as well.
Hi, Mike.
So first of all, thanks for allowing us to come on tonight. Basically, we just want to discuss what our Christmas program is. If you haven't ever come up to the station and seen it, we actually fill every space of the upstairs of the station with tables. Last year, I had 65 families, and that can range from one kid up to the one family had 9 kids. So at 9 kids, and we have to space it out obviously per family. So it does take a lot of room. And this is the only place that's big enough. We've had offers from the library before, but we need a place where we can get into whenever we're available to get into it, and a place big enough. And unfortunately, this is the only place that's big enough in the village for us.
Okay, and you mentioned you would like it from November 1st till Christmas Eve. I imagine most of the days would be, getting donations and taking them up there and sorting them out and everything. When would the families be coming?
So we tried to do it a week before Christmas. We like to get all the gifts out, obviously, a week before Christmas, because we have, to do our own stuff. Most of the time, we don't allow them upstairs anyway. We like to, kind of be discreet about it, and we will carry the stuff downstairs for them because nobody likes our stairs anyway. So we'll carry the stuff down for them, and, it goes pretty quick once we have it all done and, said and done. But we like to have them out the week before Christmas.
Okay. The question that would come up in this day and age is how would you enforce the protocols for the COVID?
Right. Same thing like, you do in the general public, in your office, or, I consider my office the ambulance. We have our social distancing. We can, allow, one family up at a time if they do have to come upstairs and help us carry down the bags. But like I said, 9 times out of 10, we pretty much bring them downstairs. I mean, I have hand sanitizer downstairs we can bring upstairs. If I have to put an X on the floor saying, hey, you can't go past this, then that's, that's what we'll do, obviously. Whatever the CDC guidelines state is, obviously the same thing that we're going to follow here.
Right, and since you're a professional, we'll trust you to do that, and I'm sure you'll do, you both will do a fine job with that. Now, let's see, does any board member have any further questions or comments regarding the procedure? The one thing I was just thinking about saying was, and as I mentioned to you in my response to you, is that there is no exercise interruption with Terry Ann Montoya or anything. She's not going to be doing anything there this fall. So
Okay.
that she had wanted to do something, but it was the health guidelines were too much. So
Yeah.
that isn't going to happen. But board members, do you have any comments?
Nope.
Okay.
The thing I would say is last year for the first time, really tried to get involved and help out a little bit on a couple of the nights. The amount of help they're providing for the families of our community is just, it's unbelievable. And I always knew about it, through word of mouth, and oh yeah, they're doing some stuff, and I may even have helped buy some toys and left them with Sparky and stuff. But last year I got up there and helped with some of the packaging and some of the other things, and it just stunned me how much Nikki and Mike are accomplishing.
Yes,
for
there's
of
no
our
question.
community.
It's a huge benefit for our community. I think we all understand that, and we appreciate it. Any other comments? That being the case, I think we'll cut right to the point. I'll ask for a motion to approve their request to use that space from November 1st till December 24th as requested.
I'll move it.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll call the vote. Bob?
Yes.
Okay, Jason?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes,
And I'll also vote yes. Danielle is not with us tonight, but that's it. The motion is passed. And so Nikki and Mike, good luck with the whole project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We really appreciate it as always.
Okay. And
All right, thank you.
We
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you.
You're welcome. Have a good night. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now we'll
Welcome.
go to Nate for the attorney's report.
So just to give you a quick update, there was a zoning board meeting at just 6 o'clock, barely over an hour ago. At that meeting, Mr. Frank, who's also on the call right now, presented to the zoning board concerning an application for an area variance to place a digital sign to replace an existing billboard of a certain size over at the fairgrounds. The zoning board heard that matter, did open the public hearing and close the public hearing. No one from the public actually attended. And then they discussed the application and kind of where their thoughts were. And then we kind of ran out of time. Turns out they needed more than an hour to fully review, understand, discuss, and decide. And so the zoning board has rescheduled or adjourned the meeting from today to October 28th at 5 p.m. We're going to meet at 5 p.m., a couple hours before the village board meeting, so that they can revisit, reconsider, and review. Mr. Frank at that meeting will also, I think, be presenting to the zoning board some sort of PowerPoint slide sharing thing that will maybe give some better pictures or representations of what the sign will actually look like. And at that meeting, the board, I expect, will rule one way or the other. Tonight, the village board, I believe, is scheduled for site plan review. I don't have the hearing notice or the notice open right in front of me, but some review, it's either site plan or special permit. And I think, or my recommendation would be for the village board actually to not consider that this evening, to wait until the zoning board has met, reviewed, and considered as well. Because if the zoning board denies the variance, let's say, the village board has no need to take action on this at all.
That'll be a moot point. You're right.
Right.
Okay,
Other than I was just gonna say, other than that, I'm trying to think of other things. I
While you
sent,
think of that, if Mr. Frank is with us, because I can't
Yes,
see
he
him.
is. Yes, he
And
is.
Mr. Frank, if you're welcome to say a few words to the village board if you so desire.
Sure. First, I would just say thank you very much for having me in your meeting. I appreciated the time with the zoning board as well, and it did go longer than we had thought. And I appreciated the fact that they kicked it down the road a little bit further to consider. And I'll come back and see them in a couple of weeks with some PowerPoint pictures. And they had some great questions that they had asked me regarding the project. If you're familiar with this billboard, it's the one as you enter Whitney Point from Route 81. It would be on the right-hand side, just past the vacant motel. That's that billboard that's right there. What we're looking to do is just convert the one face that you would look at coming into the village to a digital billboard. Would be same size, same height. The only thing that's required there is it would be a new structure to hold the weight of a digital billboard, but we would build it to look just like the one that's currently there. We got into a little bit more of the specifics in the zoning board meeting as far as the legalities of that specific sign, that it's legal and non-conforming, which means that it's been there a long time and it's kind of grandfathered into the laws that are there now, but the local laws that are on the books would prohibit a sign of that size if it were being built brand new. What I'm asking for, what our company's asking for, is to convert an existing sign face that's there, thus the variance and the special permit use.
Okay, well, thank you. Does any of the board have any questions for Mr. Frank while we have him here? It sounds
We heard
like,
back from the county? Have they been,
Did hear from the county. The county has recommended denial of the application for a variety of reasons, which are found in the 239 report. And if you should have a copy of the 239 report as part of the application that you would have been reviewing tonight. But if you don't, that's okay. We're moving to the October 28th anyway to make sure that you have that additional time to review, and the zoning board can review it anyway. Linda, did the village board get a copy of the 239 report?
I can't remember if it was placed out on the Dropbox this time or not. I can't remember.
well.
And I can't open it now because I am in the middle of this. Sorry. It might not be out there.
Well, it doesn't really matter right now. So thank you, Mr. Frank. We're going to move on to the rest of our business, and
Okay.
good luck with your meeting on the 28th.
I appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay,
And Linda as well. Thank you.
Yep,
okay,
thank you.
thank you. Nate, do you have anything else for your attorney's report that you've had a moment to think about?
Yep. So I think that we had a public hearing scheduled for tonight for the village board. And so, Mr. Mayor, you'll have to open the public hearing, and then the board should entertain a motion to adjourn or to continue the public hearing at the meeting on October 28th. And then aside from that, I did send a resolution to Linda last week, I think,
Which is on
for-
Dropbox.
which about be on the agenda about the parking.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if anyone had any
Right.
questions about that, but other
Well,
than
I
that, I think that's it.
Okay, I do see the site plan review for on the agenda, and that is number 9, and that will just be removed to the 28th. I don't see anything for me to declare a public hearing, but if you think we should do that and then get out of it, we'll do that. Is that what you're saying? I don't.
Yeah, I believe a public hearing was scheduled for the village board tonight. I know we put a notice together, and I think it got sent off to the paper.
It did.
Well, okay, I will do that. The public hearing.
Item number 9, right, Nate?
Well,
Well,
I
it
don't
just
actually
says-
have a
that
copy of the
says site
agenda.
plan review. That's for the site plan review. It doesn't say public hearing. It says site plan review, if
But-
that's what it pertains to.
But it was, David. That's what it was for, and we did
Oh,
advertise it as.
okay, I
as a
didn't,
public
I
hearing.
just, it's just semantics, that's all. I will open the public hearing regarding the site plan review. But due to circumstances at the earlier meeting, we will close this public hearing and defer it to October 28th. How's that? Does that work, Nate?
Sounds fine. Good enough.
Okay, good enough. All right.
We
So,
need to act on that, Nate.
The board, it's always nice to have a motion
okay,
and to do it
Okay,
that
then
way.
I'll move exactly what Nate said a minute ago.
It should be a motion to continue the public hearing at the October 28th meeting.
October 28th, yeah.
right.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a second. I'll call the vote. Bob,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
I'll say yes as well. We'll move right along. Anything else, Nate?
I don't think so. Not
Good.
at this point.
Good. Well, we'll move right along to the clerk treasurer's report. Linda?
It's the monthly report for closing out the month of September.
Yeah, the months
Well,
fly right by.
Yep.
Well, we've all gotten that. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the monthly report of the treasurer? No. Well, that being the case, we'll accept it as it stands. Anything else from the clerk treasurer?
Not under this. We'll cover it under some of the other businesses.
Okay. We did not get a report yet from the code enforcement officer. It's delinquent. We'll move right along. We did get one from dog control. I think you've all been copied on that. If anybody has any comments regarding the dog control report, now would be the time.
I was surprised to see only 3 calls in a month. That's pretty amazing.
Well, the thing that stands out to me, and it always has on dog reports, is how many weekend calls there are. And of course, the weekend rate is higher. But that's the way it goes. And many of those weekend calls are for dogs from travelers that don't even live in the village. They're just passing through. But again, that's the way it goes. Anything from fire department?
It's on Dropbox. Yes.
Yeah,
Just short.
I personally didn't see that, but that's all right. I heard it was small.
Very small. We did get our quarterly payment from the town of Triangle for our fire contract. So just so you're all aware, and it's been deposited. And Greg also has notified us that they are, due to the COVID outbreak, that they're not meeting, correct, Bob, for the time period for their trainings, but they're still responding to calls, etc.
Yeah, for October, we're not doing any training gathering. None of the other, no monthly meeting or anything, just responding to calls. I do believe that the county has an official in there tonight who is making badges for some of the new firefighters who need ID tags to be. So I think that's happening, but everything else has been canceled. And they're going to do online training through a company called McNeil.
Okay. They had 205 calls for service to date. 3 members are enrolled in state fire classes. Their ATV fundraiser is done and the winner has been announced. And they've done apparatus preventive maintenance and pump tests have been completed. So that was his report.
Okay, very good. Okay, Public Works. Anybody have any comments regarding Public Works?
I'll put in a plug for my street light again.
Yeah,
David just talked with him the other day after you were here.
as recently as a couple days ago, Scott was reaching out to NYSEG again, and I haven't heard how that latest reach out went, but it's an ongoing issue. Yes. So we'll keep pushing. Some of you may have seen they were sweeping the streets with their sweeper couple days ago, I guess it was. So that, they are not doing any sidewalks this fall. Fall is usually the time for sidewalks, but not this year.
And in
things-
case anybody asks, because we've had a couple comments, why are they going up and down the street 5 times? Is because the street sweeper is getting them together as much as it can. It takes that much. It's not a sucking machine, but to get the leaves, they have to go up and down the street like 5 times to get it, depending on the leaf volume. Okay. We had that call or comments.
Okay, good to know. Then we move to sewer. You may recall that sewer plant operators were looking for a new hot water heater, and we had this discussion at the last meeting. There were 2 hot water heaters that Jeff had suggested. There were differences, and we talked it over. Turns out Jeff doesn't want the on-demand type.
Yeah, according to Jeff, after he brought in the electric deco or somebody, they do not recommend an on-demand for that operation. So he's
Right. So we said, well, what it boils down to is he said he wants the cheaper one there that was presented to us a month ago for the, what was it, a $500 unit?
500 and change.
Okay, that's
525, I
specific.
think.
That specific one, right? I don't have the
Yes.
model number in front of me, but that's what he wants. So I will ask for a motion to go ahead and procure that particular hot water heater for the sewer plant.
I'll move that we procure the water heater from FW Web, item number 520760. The amount of $515.68.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, I'll call the vote. Bob,
yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. And we'll put that one behind us, and we'll go ahead and order that. Okay. Jeff's out of town, I guess, so we didn't really get much of a formal
He's-
report from him.
Yeah, he
far as
said
I
he
know.
didn't have anything to really report, is what his response was to me.
Okay, item 9, we have taken care of. So then what brings us to number 10, the resolution on parking, that we asked Nate to prepare a resolution, and he did, and we all have copies of it. And I personally had a few things I wanted changed on that, and I don't know if you changed any of what you sent to the board, Linda, or they got the original version there.
No, I did change where it was the mayor and the mayor
Right.
issues. I did change those before. I believe I sent it out there. But anything that Scott has addressed or Sandy, I did not change.
Right, okay, well, we'll just
Pending
go
tonight.
down through it, and I'm not sure, and Sandy left some notes for me, and incidentally, she's out of town. There was a death in the family, and she's gonna be out for a few days anyway. But Scott's real objection was that the 6th article there really didn't want that in at all because of the way they do the parking and the way that there's residents there and so on and so forth. Number 6 wouldn't be pertinent as far as our public works team. Something that I mentioned that I would like to see, number 5. I don't want it to say 24 hours, again, because people are living in those apartments. I want it to be 72 hours. That's actually the note that we put up on the cars initially. No vehicle shall be parked more than 72 continuous hours. So that is the way that I think that should be.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can we talk about 6?
we can.
You said you're opposed to that. Is that because
I
we
said Scott
encourage,
was opposed to that.
Scott was opposed to that. Is that because we encourage people who park on the street to park in our lots to get them
Well,
off the way of the street?
I
plowing?
didn't hear Scott's reasoning directly. That probably was part of it. There was more than one reason.
That was a lot of it, because I was here overhearing the conversation between Scott and Sandy. That was a lot of the reason, is that we obviously going November 1st, they are not allowed to park on the streets overnight because of the snowfall. And they don't automatically go to that parking lot first to clean it out. They continuously go back through and clean out the parking lot. So his recommendation is not to have number 6 in there at all because of that.
Yeah, and I know their priorities have always been get the streets first and the parking lots later when they can.
Right.
So that's a big reason, I guess, Bob.
Yeah.
I think there were a couple other reasons, but that's the main reason.
So are we looking to take that out of this document?
Yes. That's his recommendation. That's
Okay.
Scott's
Any thoughts on
recommendation.
that, Nate?
I'm wondering maybe if you maybe, because we have in there kind of the caveat with express permission from the mayor. If we included maybe instead of the mayor being the person to give that permission to
Well,
somebody,
let's just let me just stop you right there. Every time when you said mayor, I asked Linda to say the village. We don't want, the mayor doesn't make decisions. I want it known that it's the village board that makes the decisions, of which I'm part of. It's a sensitive issue to me. So we're going
Mayor,
to just say the village. We're going to just
that's
the village.
That's certainly something that the village board can choose. My only word of caution then, though, is that the board will need to meet at special meetings in order to do anything under this resolution. So if somebody is, for example, parked more than 72 hours and you want to get that car out of there, the village board will then have to hold a special meeting to take that action. I think
Nate,
I think-
in number 7, we left it that the mayor or his designee, or his or her designee, shall go on about posting the notice and getting the vehicle removed. So that one was left because it could be their designee at that point. So that would be any village. But the others
that's-
were changed to the village.
is that the tow away and impounding?
Yes, that's
Yes.
number 7 part.
Okay.
After the second sentence where it says the mayor or his designee, that remained. If that's what you're referring to.
So again, my concern isn't so much with reporting of vehicles removal to the state police or the sheriff. It's more, the first part of that paragraph 7 there, vehicles in violation may be towed away and impounded. If it's going to say at the direction of the village board, then you're going to have special meetings, and this isn't going to be a fast process. And that's okay if that's the mechanism that you folks would like to use and to follow. I just want you to be aware. The way I structured this was to give you as much flexibility as you could in a legitimate way in order to address issues that are happening at the parking lot. And it certainly wouldn't have to be the mayor to be the person to make these decisions. You
Well,
could
I actually,
designate the DPW superintendent. to
right. I
make the
actually
decision.
didn't say the village board when I just said the village. All I said was the village.
If it says the village,
Yes.
I think there needs to be some clarity as to what or who that is. Because if it just says the village, ordinarily, I believe that means the village board. If it's absent some other indication of delegation of authority, the board always retains the power unless it expressly delegates it to someone.
Well, we could put a clause in, like you said, Nate, that's after we've said what we say there, we could say the village board designates, the public works superintendent and or the mayor or whatever you want to say to execute the action.
Yeah, to me, it could be the village board, it could be the mayor, it could be the DPW superintendent, it could be the clerk. I mean, it could be any one of those. I think would be a natural place for authority to say, hey, that car's been there too long, or it's in violation of our rules, get it out of here. And that's up to the board and what it would like to do.
Well, that's sort of how it evolved, the other issues. It was brought to our attention and we kicked it around among all those people, all the, the Public Works, the board, the mayor, the clerk, and we came to a plan. It didn't happen overnight, but that's sort of how it went. And per your directive, we're trying to codify that to clean it up. It didn't really have clear direction in existing laws and stuff, but whatever works best. Does anybody have any comments to guide us along here beyond what we've already said?
I mean, this doesn't really happen very often at all. So
We hope it doesn't. And I will say this, the fact that we put all those pieces of paper on vehicles, people noticed those papers already. And even though we didn't really have the legal muscle behind us, it seemed to, get some attention. Now, as far as that one remaining car, it's likely an abandoned car, but it's quite likely that's what that is. But
Mayor, sorry to interrupt, but just to be clear, I think the village did have the legal authority to put those notices on those vehicles and say to the owners, you need to move them. However, the purpose of this resolution and posting some signs is to have in place, kind of codify the policy of the village so that people really can see and understand very clearly, and we've got a place to look at when this happens again.
I agree. I agree. And that's all that I meant. Okay. Did anybody have any comments about any of the other points on there, 1 through 8?
I know Bob had asked me if I had any thoughts on paragraph 6 about parking in the event of snowfall in the village lot. And what I was going to say was that with the ability for someone in the village to excuse or allow people to temporarily park in the lot, like I know many places say, like with streets, if there's more than 2 inches of snow, you got to get your cars off the street. And they also say you have to get your cars out of our lots so that way we can plow them. If it's the practice in this village to say, you know what, we have a shortage of driveways, there isn't a place for people to put their cars other than our lots, let's let them in the lot, then maybe what we could say would be, it's hard to phrase it as like a time frame. I think I would want maybe the DPW superintendent who's in charge of the plowing to allow to make the decision, basically. Like, people can park in the lots until the streets are clear. And then we got to clean the lots. I mean, if they're fine with how they're doing it, which is they just make as many passes through it as they can whenever they drive by, that's okay. But I know just from a scheduling perspective, the DPW superintendent has the ability to put a notice on someone's car that says, move your car, we're going to be plowing the lot at 3 p.m. this afternoon. And if your car's not moved out of here, we're going to move it for you. And that way they can just go right through and get it all in one fell swoop. That can be a little easier or a little desirable. I'm just posing that as an option here. If you folks say, nope, we don't want it, we're fine with kind of how we're managing this currently, we'll take that sentence out.
Well, I think it probably is best to get a little more input from Scott before we tell you what we think he would say. But
We certainly have a history of encouraging people to get off the streets and into our lots when there's a heavy snowfall so that the streets can be cleared. How you tack that, at what point you turn that around, or how you communicate how to turn that around here, I have no idea. But I do think all the things you said, Nate, are true here. We have very, very small driveways, especially like around all those apartment buildings downtown and stuff. And so we've always encouraged them. And part of the reason we've acquired so many parking lots and stuff is to have a place for people to put their vehicles when it snows. So I unless Scott has some real reason to not do it the way we've been doing it, I guess I would say we should continue doing it the way we do it.
You know, it occurs to me maybe the way we work through this, and then also potentially for any other issues. I think we have the ability to close off a section of the lot or close the whole lot down, regardless of what this resolution says. You know, you just put a barrier up and prevent people from going in. But I think we could also include a piece in here that says, no, the village, DPW superintendent, or maybe in this case, we do just say the village, can order all vehicles out of the lot on 12 hours notice, 24 hours notice, you know, that everyone must remove their vehicles from the lot on 24 hours notice for any reason whatsoever that the village kind of feels like it needs the lot. And so in the event of snow, you say, everybody park in the lots. That's fine. We're going to get the streets cleared. And then the next day, after all the streets are cleared, Scott could put a notice on the cars that says, we're going to be plowing the village lot at this time, you know, 24 hours later or whatever. Move your car before then, or it's subject to being towed. And then you could also, I'm just thinking like, there might be some other reason that you feel like you need the lot and you want to order people out of it. I think you have that ability anyway, but I'm just trying to think that that might be the way to address the snow issue too.
Well, I have a feeling that some of these things that we really haven't had plans with, and even though we want to plan for, be proactive on any possible contingency, sometimes we can trip over ourselves if we say, sometimes the less said about something, the better, is what I tend to think. But for now, I wouldn't really want to go forward with the resolution necessarily. I want to put things move, you know, get put them behind us. But I think we need to get DPW's input further on item 6 at least. And maybe we will just pull that out of there, or maybe we'll tweak it and put something else in that, as Nate suggested. But there's just a few comments there. Anybody else have anything to add? I think I will ask for a motion about this resolution to table it until the next meeting, which might be the prudent way to go. Does anybody feel like a motion to that effect?
I will move that we table the resolution.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, I'll call the vote. Bob,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I'll also say yes. Okay, we'll table it to the next meeting, at which point we'll get Scott's input prior to that and think about it some more ourselves, and see if we can't put it to bed at the next meeting before the snow falls. I think most of the other points there are fine the way they are. So that's it on item 10 for now. Item 11 is a discussion on the termination of residential utility service. Linda, do you want to speak to this?
Sure. The governor has come out with chapter 108 of the laws of 2020, which is to do with public service laws, saying that it's preventing public services and utilities or municipalities from terminating, in our case, water and sewer services for residential customers, not commercials, just residentials, for failing to pay service charges or overdue fees due to a COVID emergency. So this is a law. We don't have a choice in the matter. We have the attorney's office. Nate gave us a notice to send to our residential customers in our November 1st billing. It will notifies the residents of this law. If they feel that they qualify under this, they have to come to the office. They would have to sign a certificate saying that they qualify for this that Nate has provided for us. And then they also have to then go ahead and complete a deferred payment program for this. This means that individuals who go through with this and qualify for this will not be re-levied at that time. That re-levy for that thing will wait until after the 180-day period after the state of emergency lifts. They have 180 days from the day the emergency gets lifted for this to take place. So we're talking a half a year, pretty much. So that means that some people might not get re-levied this year and will still be out that money until the next year. But then we can re-levy at that point if they have not paid. So we don't really have a choice in this matter. Am I not correct, Nate? It's for all residentials.
Yep, that's correct. You know, it's one of those things that the state felt was really needed in light of the COVID issues. And I think just to clarify or to echo Linda's point, it's meant for people whose financial circumstances have changed as a result of COVID. And so if somebody's still employed, their circumstances haven't changed. And they'd have to sign a certification or an attestation and basically lie about that. As part of the deferred payment agreement, the village can ask for some documentation about the alleged change in circumstances. But I can tell you that the guidance on all of this is still very, I'm going to say, wishy-washy. And this is still so new. I don't believe in any of our clients, anyone's even asked for a deferred payment agreement yet.
Yeah,
And
this
it'll be
just came up.
evolving.
This just came up in the NICOM conference, is where it just happened around that time, which was just a couple of weeks ago. At that time, I started talking to Nate about this, and we wanted to make you all aware of it before it went out in the November billing, which is coming soon. So
and this goes till 180 days past the end of.
right. So the governor has an emergency order in place. And so once that is lifted, it's good for 180 days past that expiration. So
in theory, this could be a
constantly.
very long time.
yes, basically.
We're talking right now, I think, if not April, then May of 2021.
Yeah. And again, it just depends because he's just extended it again through November. Am I not right, Nate? For something?
Yeah, every month he extends the state of emergency one more month. Same thing with the open meetings law remote authorization here. He extends the state of emergency. So that's why I say May right now, because currently we're through November 3rd, and 6 months from that is May.
Right.
And as Nate indicated, the fear here is that there might be somebody that wants to take advantage of it who it doesn't really qualify, and we'll do that lie that that to pretend to be qualified. I'm sure that'll crop up around the state. Hopefully, not too much here.
I just was nervous because we know the sales tax revenue will be down. And if
Absolutely.
people don't need to pay for their water and sewer, we will really be
It's
taking a
just,
hit.
it's just a deferred. Doesn't mean that they don't have to pay in the end.
Yeah, it's deferred, but
It's getting
our
to that
purchase
end
of
is
the
what's gonna
chemicals
kill us.
goes on every day, you know?
Yes.
Right. We can't relevy, and there's no, I imagine, no late payments either. If they are delinquent after the 180 days, we can't go back and retroactively charge.
No,
Correct. Yeah.
no.
And I'm gonna
One-
have to track this separately because for the people that qualify separately from everybody else. So,
One of the things that one of my other clients kind of was just talking with me about is, and this is maybe a little bit to your benefit. And anyone who's on the Johnson City Binghamton sewage treatment plant, for example, sewage treatment plant isn't gonna stop their charges to all the municipalities. Those are coming regardless, and those municipalities have no way to try and monitor the expenses. So you folks it's going to hurt potentially, but you're in a little bit of a better position than some of those other places that receive service from the sewage treatment plant down in Binghamton. Not that it makes it better.
Well, there's nothing we can really do about it, just to be aware of it. And so that's pretty much the point of item 11, was to discuss it and make us aware of it.
so
Nothing
you'll
we
see
can
an
really
orange
do.
flyer in your next water bills. And we'll have a higher expense for mailing because we have to mail not just the postcards to the outside residentials because they have to be included. So we will have an extra expense of higher postage and envelopes to go along for those outside users. So there will be a little extra expense in this.
Okay, we've already taken care of number 12. That brings us to old business. Does anybody have any old business they want to bring up? Okay, well, of course, the mayor does. I'll try to be quick on these. We had a visit the end of September from Jay Lewandowski of Nymer. He did an inspection. Scott took him to various village buildings and so on, and he's got a list of recommendations. He has sent us a couple emails saying that he will send us a formal letter of those recommendations. We got some indication what they were in the attachment to one of the emails, but we haven't gotten that letter yet, but that's just informational right now. Just to keep focused, we, as a village, we're again chartered by the governor to do a pandemic operations plan by April 1st. So it's down the road, but we have to be aware we need to do that. Of course, there's been no action from the state on our LWRP grant. We're still waiting on Department of State. I don't think Broome County Planning has heard about that either after I discussed it with Beth Lucas, but we'll keep pushing. The voluntary water conservation that we asked residents to undertake the past few weeks is still voluntary, but we still need to conserve water. The water levels on our pumps is still low. It's not dangerously low, but we haven't gotten, we don't get the rain that Binghamton gets. We don't get the rain that Cortland gets. We're in a unique situation here where we seem to miss it all the time. We get little drips and drabs, but we could use a big soaker. And hopefully we won't have to go into a state of emergency. That's pretty much it for old business. Does anybody have any new business?
Mr. Mayor, had you been notified that they dropped the level of the lake?
Well, I wasn't notified, but I saw it with my own eyes. Page Brook pretty much doesn't exist at the entrance to the lake. There is, although any water from Page Brook has gone underground by that point. obviously in the summer, they keep it up for recreation. Um, uh, the trickles of the tributaries I see are just, I mean, even the Tayaf Neoga is dry in a lot of spots.
It appeared that they dropped it in order to dig out some of the places where the creeks have washed in sandbars and stuff.
That could be, I
They have
don't,
3 excavators in the park
Oh,
today cleaning out, but I just thought that they probably should have notified us that
you know, there once was a time when we would always get notified at this village office. But I'll dig into that a little, into it a little bit, but not with my excavator.
yeah, yeah, it appears it appears that's what they're doing is
All
digging
right,
out some
thanks
of
for the
caves
update.
again.
I know,
I can reach out to Jim Poyer, who's the
yeah,
head dam operator. He's good friend of mine. I can
Sure.
ask him if he has any information. Pass that
Right.
on.
It just the lake is one place where the fire department would drive a truck down a boat ramp to pull water from the lake to fight fires. And I don't know if that's even possible right now. It's so the boat ramp is totally away from the lake right now.
yeah, that's,
Yeah, I'll ask Jim about if he would have to know. He's the gates and everything they open the gates and close the gates whenever they need to.
Sure.
So
ask Jim, that'd be helpful,
I'll
Mike.
find out.
Okay, good. Anybody else have any new business? The only thing I have is I'll again remind you that Broome County Planning and Coughlin and Gerhart are hosting these municipal training functions that are available to all of us. And the next one is next week on the 22nd. It's about renewable energy siting issues. I don't think we have much of, we don't have much of a dog in that race, but the other ones for December, November and December might be of interest to you. The one's about a seeker process and one's about the developments in case law that might be of interest to villages. But
Yeah.
Nate can keep us apprised of that.
That the one you're doing, Nate?
That is the one that I'm doing. And so if anyone's got any special requests, let me know.
Okay, do a
Are-
good job. That's all
are
we
we-
request.
Do we get an email about those things when they come?
Usually the county sends an email out. I think
think-
they might have
I
already.
think an
I
email was
remember I
sent
used
out.
to see them, but I
an
don't remember
email was-
seeing one for these.
Yeah.
Um,
I believe Laura, is that her name?
Laura.
Laura
Zier.
Zier sent an email out of like a month ago.
Yeah.
I'll dig it up and we'll forward it to you. If you didn't get it, or even if you did get it. Okay, that's all I have on new business. Anybody else have anything about anything? Well, it looks like it's time to end. So this meeting is adjourned.